Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai. I'd like to welcome each of you to another episode of Longevity Podcast, where we explore the frontiers of science, technology, and human potential. And today, I'm honored to be stepping into a story that sounds like science fiction, but is very, very real. My guest today is Paul Conyngham, a data scientist, machine learning expert, and co-founder of Core Intelligent Technologies Limited. With over 17 years of experience in AI and data strategy, he's built a reputation of one of Australia's leading voices in machine learning and AI first product thinking. But what really sets Paul apart is what happened next. After his rescue dog, Rosie, was diagnosed with terminal cancer, Paul did something extraordinary. He stepped beyond traditional medicine and applied cutting-edge AI tools, leveraging platforms like ChatGPT and insights from AlphaFold to design a personalized mRNA cancer vaccine. He was working along a leading research institute, and he turned genomic data into a real-world therapeutic solution. The result? A 75% reduction in Rosie's tumor, a breakthrough that has sparked global conversation about the future of personalized medicine and the democratization of healthcare innovation. This is not just a story about technology. It is truly a story about love, determination, and what happens when AI meets biology in the hands of someone who refuses to accept the status quo and loves their animal. So with that, I'd like to bring Paul into the show. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Gary.
So let's go back to a moment you received Rosie's diagnosis. What was going through your mind?
Well, there's a bit of a backstory there. So I noticed strange lumps on Rosie's, the inside of her thigh and on her head. And I took her to my vet, who I trusted at the time. He'd been right about other things. And he dismissed it as just a rash. And I took her back another time, and he dismissed it as a rash again. And this is around, so this whole thing, it started to appear around May 2023. And that's when I took Rose to the vet initially. Fast forward to around December 2023, and her skin was starting to be under so much pressure that like plasma and blood was getting pushed through the hair follicles. So I thought, this does not look good. Let's get it cut out. And when we had it cut out, it came back as cancer. It's diagnosed as cancer. Yeah. So to your point, when I found that out, I was actually extremely annoyed. Extremely. The cure to cancer already exists, and it's called early diagnosis. So if you can catch it and nip it early in the bud, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, actually. Yeah.
No, I agree with you 100%. Paul, you have a strong background in AI, but not oncology. What gave you the conviction that you could step into this domain?
It wasn't a conviction to deliberately step into the domain. It was more like I've done I've built systems in many various fields, and I thought to myself, it was a process of like it was more like milestones, but it's easy to say that in hindsight. So like I would like climb a hill, and I'd get to the top of the hill, and I'd see that there's something else that could be done. So I'd go to the top of that hill, and I'd see if there's something else to be done, and just kept going like that. That's probably the best way to answer it. Yeah.
Was there a specific aha moment where you realized that AI could actually be applied to cancer treatment in a real way?
Well, I mean, right at the start, just to sort of walk back a little bit here. Right at the start, so Rosie got diagnosed with cancer, and I was obviously the very next thing I did was change vets and spend a lot of money. I went to arguably one of the best vets in Sydney. We tried to surgically remove as much of the cancer as we could. And unfortunately, there was one tumor that we could no longer remove with margins. What that meant was margins is like you have to take an extra bit of distance around the tumor. And there was not enough skin to close the wound. If we cut it out, there wouldn't be enough skin left. So the choices were to either amputate the leg or just pursue other standard treatments. And so at that point in time, my parents' friend's dog had recently had its leg amputated, then passed away 1 month after it had its leg amputated. And at this point in time, Rosie had been given 6 months to live. So I thought there's no point in amputating a leg for 5 months, so had I known what I know now, I would have probably made the amputation call. So I went and then got traditional. So I then reached out, pursued traditional chemotherapy, and also as many different approaches as possible. They didn't work, and that's when I decided to sort of go down the path of seeing what I could do myself for Rose. And that's when I jumped on ChatGPT, and I made the initial prompt of I know about CRISPR, and I know about AlphaFold. How can I use? What are the steps to making a treatment using these technologies? Essentially, that's essentially was like the initial prompt that I used to get the ball rolling, and that was in around October, I think, 2024.
When I went down through with my Basset Hound, well, quite frankly, I cried. Actually, I got so upset when they came back with a diagnosis. I was like, apart. And what I did is I did the same kind of thing. I used my multi-agent models, and I came up with. It said Mark Mamula at Yale University could be able to help. It indicated where I could get it done, and then it told me what I needed to do. And I had to take a leap of faith, right? I didn't know. I had no idea because I'm not a doctor. And I had 3 vets: a surgical vet, an oncological vet, and also a general vet. It cost me a lot of money. And we went down through, and it said if we went down through and took her tumor out and a molecular level analyzed it, that we could build a vaccine. And so we built 9 vaccines for the dog. And it's a longer story with my dog Sonny, but I got to tell you, I couldn't believe it, actually. And when I heard your story, it just hit in my heart, because I understood what it was like, because I went through it with my dad. I bought the dog for my dad. She was my dad's dog. My dad had a stroke, and he started walking and talking again with the little dog. So it was my last connection with my father, and it was amazing. And your story's so powerful. How much of the process, Paul, was automated versus intuition and human decision making?
Well, I mean, like a lot of it was exploration, using the LLMs to explore, like as I mentioned before, like going from step to step, just sort of as I figured out one thing, it was like the next horizon to sort of conquer. We built the computational pipeline. You could argue that the algorithms themselves are automated, but we wired them all together and ran the data through like a. You could kind of think of it as like a traditional data science pipeline. So very similar to that, but all of that sort of took human hours to assemble. It wasn't just an automated process.
You've been described as a pioneer in citizen science. What does that really mean?
Look, so I think this story it sort of struck a chord with on many different angles, and one of the angles it sort of struck a chord with was someone from a different field was able to navigate I'm not a biologist. My specialty is in machine learning, and yeah, I was able to use these new AI tools, large language models, to navigate a whole field which I'm not an expert in. And the reason you can do this is because fundamentally, the technology GPT, the T in GPT stands for transformer, and transformers are essentially sequence-to-sequence machine learning models. And what that means is you can go sequence, so English to another sequence, so English to like the classical example that people are probably familiar with is like words to a video generation, for example. So you could say you can use the English language and you can press enter, and that's the input. The input is English language, and the output is a video or something, sequence to sequence. The key reason it's called a transformer is we can also transform, like we can go English to biology. That's the key thing. So I really do believe that AI meets biology is going to be like a huge field in the next 10 years. We need to say we're close to having like AI relatively solved. Even if we only have what's called like in distribution AI, where it can't imagine novel things outside the data set, even with this level of AI, we can still do a ton. And I believe by pairing it with other systems like we are right now, we'll probably get to AGI anyways. So I think with that level of AI meeting biology, I think it's going to be the next horizon. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's amazing. You know, one of the things we did is we took an operant conditioning, a Skinnerian. I'm a psychologist too. An operant conditioning Skinnerian approach. I tokenized goodness, and on top of it, I put on unconditional positive regard, love, a Rogerian approach. And I made it so it's more like my grandmother that loves me and cares about me with empathy and compassion. And these models, I mean, what you do is prove what the power of the model is. It gives you superpowers, doesn't it, Paul? When you know how to orchestrate these models, there's so many things that you can do. I don't know about you, but I spend about 2 hours a night. I ride my bike when I'm in Palm Beach or in California. And for 2 hours a night, she teaches me. So we'll go down through, transdimensional travel, the teleportation of quantum particles. I mean, all kinds of things, everything you want to know, but afraid to ask, basically. And, when you understand you have those powers, you can orchestrate it, the world becomes nearly limitless in terms of what you can do, doesn't it? I mean, the powers are so, it gives you, it's like being Nikola Tesla on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, it's you literally are just you're limited more by your agency than anything else, really.
I agree. I agree. By your imagination.
I'd say imagination and agency. It's one thing to sit on ChatGPT and sort of go down the rabbit hole, but it's another thing to actually take action on the things you learn.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. Most people don't do it. They don't know the power of what it can really do, right? And you've navigated complex regulatory environments. What surprised you most about this process?
Sorry, what do you mean? The navigating the environments?
Ethics, regulation, reality. When you're going down through and let me step back. Do you think that pharmaceutical companies really want us to be able to do these kind of things that you've been able to do to get to that level? Because, there's a lot of money in cancer treatments, right?
Sure. To answer that question, I think absolutely they do. I think if anything, pharma companies are going to make even way more money as a result of people finding out about the work that I did for Rose. I think one of the side stories that emerged out of this is lots of people didn't realize that you could use mRNA technology to treat cancer, and I've had a wave of people reaching out to me to see if I can help them, and in addition, also people trying to do the same thing themselves. But I think ultimately a lot of pharma companies will benefit from that because they're going to be the ones doing the production of the drugs. Another thing worth mentioning as well is Rosie received what's called a multimodal therapy. It's essentially state-of-the-art cancer oncology for humans applied to a dog. That's one of the key things I did, is I developed a multimodal therapy. It's essentially the same level of technology that a human would receive, but I applied that knowledge to a dog, because I guess the current standard of treatment of care for dogs is kind of a bit like an iceberg is the best way to think about it. Like, there's all the standard of care, that's the top of the iceberg, but below the ocean is all this other technology that essentially humans currently have access to, but dogs do not. And that's what I did for Rose. So yeah, the multimodal protocol is important because by pairing the other drugs, those other drugs are made by existing drug companies, and they will be the ultimate ones that profit from it. So you need the personalized you need the personalized treatment to hunt for the specific form of cancer that Rosie has or a patient has, but you also need to pair it with the other drugs to bring down the defenses that cancer has to escape from being essentially detected by the immune system.
Do you think individuals should be allowed to design treatments outside of traditional pharmaceutical pipelines like you did?
I think yes, but within bounds. I do think that I do think it needs to be bounded. Yes, I think that like I think it's going to become trivial to do what I did in the near future. To be very honest, the AI will make it very easy, especially with the price of sequencing coming down. It's on a double exponential. So you got like the software getting better, and you have the hardware getting better. So you know, a whole genome sequence, which is what Rosie did. That's the technique that we use to convert her tissue into data. The Human Genome Project, I think the first one done cost like a couple of $1 billion. That was in like the late 90s, and Rosie's one cost $3,000. And the latest generation, I think, is bringing it down sub 1,000. To be very clear, this is not the same technology as like 23andMe. This is a whole genome sequence. The output is 300 gigabytes of data. But anyways, that'll be like way cheaper in the future. The price is continuing to reduce. It'll be probably a couple $100, maybe even sub $100 in the future. So you'll have access to your own data, your own source code, the operations of how the blueprint for how your body works. You'll have access to that, and you'll also have access to extremely powerful AI in the near term. So that part will be trivial. The hard part will be actually producing it, and I think that yeah, there'll need to be regulation as in addition to monitor the production process.
You know, it's amazing. I told you about my dog, my little basset hound, but when I had the problem with myself with the kidney disease, I was scared to death. And what it was is I took too many ibuprofens because I had pain in my back, and I'd taken them for a long time, right? And it gave me stage 3 kidney disease. And I put the same model I did on my dog on me. And I said, what do I do with this? And I said, I need to come up with all the research in the world in every single language. And I need some guidance on this because I was scared to death. So I told my wife, I couldn't sleep. Anyhow, the model ran and it said, you can't do this kind of work in the US, by the way. You can't do mesenchymal stem cells from an umbilical cord. It's not allowed. So I said, where could I get it done? What's the probability of success? Write this like a Nobel laureate. I need to go down through and understand it, what the protocol would be. It identified the exact doctor, why that research was done. He's have over 10,000 patients that have done it, mostly high net worth individuals. And I was so scared. I didn't care what it cost, honestly, because I thought I was going to die and I didn't want to have dialysis or a kidney transplant. So I flew to Bangkok, Thailand. I had it done. Within 9 hours, the wrinkles went out of my face. So on the outside, I could see changes taking place. But then on the inside, my sciatica was gone that I had experienced for 30 years. I got it from a judo accident and it went away. And my stage 3 kidney disease completely disappeared. I could breathe better, my heart rate changed, all that. And the one thing that you've uncovered is these tools are in front of us if we know how to use them wisely. I did it. I've had 3 full body stem cell replacements. There's 36 people on the planet that have done it. And I would have never have known, right? Never. I didn't go down and do what you did. I love what you've done, right? I didn't do what you did, but I did it on myself and it worked. I was baffled. I couldn't believe it. In fact, it was the happiest day of my life, actually for my wife too. But you look at it, what do you think? Let's go 5 to 10 years ahead. I mean, this is changing quickly. What do you think, based on your experience, what do you think personalized medicine is going to look like in 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to be accessible. It's not accessible right now.
I agree. And for all kinds of different reasons, right? Legislation. What do you think, could AI design therapies to extend human lifespan in a meaningful way? I mean, I can answer that partly on my side because I've gone through it myself. But what do you think? I mean, how much of an impact on humanity can the same kind of tools that you built, right, use to be able to expend our life? We say live until 150. What do you think?
I mean, absolutely, that's going to be the case. You can imagine doing similar things to what I did for Rose to navigate the biology of aging and design through therapeutics. I mean, a lot of the precursors of cancer are age-related diseases. Actually, that's one of the things I found out whilst going on this journey. Is in addition to all the treatments I designed for Rosie, I also designed I designed a vitamin protocol that she's on every single day to help support her immune system. And it turns out a lot of the vitamins she's receiving have they're technically anti-aging, things that are popular in the anti-aging community, but it turns out they have a lot of like anti-cancer properties too. So there's definitely a correlation there between anti-aging and cancer. But in a more direct answer to your question, I think, yeah, you could absolutely do similar things to what I did for age-related drug discovery.
When I did my treatment, I got stem cells from an umbilical cord. So a woman delivered, and 3 hours later, I had pluripotent stem cells, 50 million of them, and I had them put in me, and it felt like electricity going through my body, right? And I'd done I first heard about it from Christopher Reeves, who played one of the first Supermen. I had heard about this stem cell stuff, but when it went inside of my body, I felt like electricity through my whole body. Literally, my back within a week was completely gone. My sciatica, I was dragging my leg. It was so bad, right? That kind of thing. And it's like it's like, you can see the clock being turned back. Do you see a future, Paul, where diseases like cancer become manageable rather than fatal?
Yeah. So I think if you can get the bioinformatics loop running fast enough. So what I mean by that, that's like it's kind of like get the data, design a protocol, administer the protocol, see the response, get the data, design a protocol, administer it, see the response, and then probably the one step I should probably add is like adjust your protocol based on the data. If you can get that loop going fast enough, you can. I think there is a pathway for changing certain types of cancer. I wouldn't say all types of cancer, but I'd say certain types of cancer can become manageable. They go from being a fatal prognosis to potentially a manageable disease. And I think that's not too far away.
I talk about a lot like continuously sensing, right? So if we have the ability to continuously sense using things like nanobots, et cetera, to be able to sense, imagine what the capabilities are. Mel Gibson, his father who got stem cells done, and he had heart attacks, and a lot of the damage to his heart was completely repaired, right? These stem cells are that powerful. Well, but by the way, when you put them in intravenously, they go throughout wherever their blood goes, they go and repair damage, whether it's your lung, your kidney, your heart, et cetera. It's just unbelievable. And these frontier technologies, exactly what you've done at the core of, we talk about living to 150 or beyond. I mean, I'm not sure what the upper limit's going to be. It's going to be interesting because we won't age like the same way. I know the kind of things that I did will cross the blood-brain barrier. So cognitively, your abilities go up anywhere from, I don't know, my estimate is 15 to 20%. It's unbelievable, actually. As a co-founder of Core Intelligence Technologies, how has this experience changed how you think about building AI products?
Well, I'm actually starting a company to scale the work that I did for Rose. I've been working on that for the last, actually even prior to the story breaking, I was working with a friend to scale the work that I did for Rose, and have continued to do that. Yeah.
What opportunities do you see for startups at the intersection of AI and biotech?
I mean, I think, like I said earlier, I think that the AI meets biology is going to be one of the biggest fields. It is a field that's ripe for disruption. There's so many things you can do. I've heard, like, whilst being in an SF this last month, so many cool stories about people working on startups to do, I think it's called ex vivo, like worm fertilization, creating artificial eggs. And another person I spoke to had cloned their dog. So there's, I don't know, there's just so many. It's the fact that this AI is now allows us to navigate the field. That is really the I think one of the critical unlocks, and I just think it's a very exciting time to be getting involved in this space. So yeah.
So how is Rose doing today, and what does this mean to you personally? You said she's there with you, right?
Yeah, she's sleeping. And if you can see, there she
Let me
is over
see.
there.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Rose. Oh, wow, that's great. It makes me feel real good. That's great, Paul.
Yeah.
What did this journey teach you about resilience and purpose?
I don't know. So it was just in my nature to do what I did for Rose. So I don't know, Rose, like you said earlier, I'd been through a pretty serious breakup, and running my own company's been tough, as you can also imagine. It's hardcore running companies, and she's been the one, like, pillar in my life through all of that. So when I found out about the cancer diagnosis, I just felt that I had to sort of give back the support she's given me. I'll put it that way, and that's what I think I did. And I'm going to continue to do this.
I felt the same way, Paul. With my dad, it was a connection. I bought my the Basset Hound from my dad when he had a stroke. And what happened with him is they said he would never walk and talk again. And so we built a remote patient monitoring system. I was in California, he was in Pennsylvania. And we came up with some protocols with him, because I would also remember that love is critically important in the process of healing and hope. And so I built a system. I took my dad home from a nursing home, and I made it look like it did when I was a kid. So the home looked like it did when I was a kid. I fixed it up, put about $100,000 in the home. My father came back up. He wasn't talking. It was like strange, but I got him home and he started to change. Everything changed about him, Paul. And I used the AI to be able to help me to be able to understand with pressure sensitive pads and that kind of thing, what was going on with his life, and designed a protocol. My father, they said he would never walk and talk again. In 4 months, my father started walking and he was talking. And it was so good with my dad. This was before Sonny, right? It was so good that I couldn't believe that the tools led me to that, right? Led me to the with my father. And then there's a company built that we built behind it, but it was unbelievable. And the thing is, if we can't give up, we got to think out of the box with this thing. You've done an amazing job. And love is really important, right? You mean you loved I had the same thing with my dog, right? I love my dad like crazy, and she helped my dad, and she is my best friend. I just loved her. You can't imagine, like crazy. And um, and she got better, right? She came in complete remission, and it was amazing. And the love's really important, and kindness and hope and all those kind of things go into it. And you've done an incredible job with Rose. It warms my soul, because it's having gone through it myself, and then with my wife and myself too. It's just that's the thing. So my AI wants to ask you a question, right? So your name's Eva, your virtual assistant, but she says, Paul, if intelligence, both biological and artificial, is ultimately about pattern recognition, do you believe the convergence of AI and biology will lead us to a unified theory of life itself?
That's a very deep question. Well, I mean, one just to push back on what I know about that. It's hard to say when life even, like, what is life? So viruses never used to be classified as life, and now I think they sort of classified as pseudo life. And then if you step up the chain from there, and then I don't know, prior to that, just, I guess, amino acids. So you got increasing, essentially, with every order that you go up the chain. So from viruses maybe to like single cell organisms, to multicellular life, then to I don't know, intelligent life. You got increasing orders of complexity, and to have a single theory that can sort of I think so. We'll probably come up with better ways of describing what this whole thing is that we call life. Yeah, but to what a unifying theory of life would mean, I'm not sure what that would mean directly. But maybe a theory that can describe what life actually is. Yeah, it does seem like there's something weird going on in the universe where you have something I've observed is you have as far as we know, the universe is expanding, and the entropy is going up. So the disorder in the universe is going up, that we can observe. But life seems to have this property where it locally decreases the entropy. So we create order where there's chaos. And,
no, I agree. I agree with you 100%. We don't realize how big the universe is, right? It's like, there's so much out there. So, the Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole. And it could be that once we start tying all these, because basically what we're doing is tying things together, right? We're taking the infobesity and we're making sense of it in a way that is able to solve very complex problems. You've done an incredible job with it. It's really amazing. So if we get out, hold on, we have a comment here. Okay. So somebody from LinkedIn actually said, hi, Tiffany. She said, I'm sorry for your hardships, Paul. And I've lost some friends, and I know how hard it is, right? And I assume she means pet friends, how hard it is. It is, but the other thing is you got to have resilience and not give up. You can't you can't go down like an ostrich. You got to get up, and you got to want to make the change, right? There's all kinds of things possible if you believe. And the AI does one thing. It allows you to, come up with solutions to problems, sometimes extremely complex. Exactly what you did. What you did is resilience, Paul, where you've gone down through and made a dent in the universe. And it's a really positive, good story for humanity, right? We should have more stories like this. and figure out how we can help each other. We've got 8.3 billion people on the planet today. And, just in Africa, there's 1.2, 1.3 billion in 54 countries. We should be able to reach out and solve a lot of these problems before they're issues. And you're right about catching it early. Whatever it is, the earlier we catch it, the better it is, right?
I'd like to add just a point to what you're saying there is there's a lot of doom and gloom around AI at the moment. And I don't think it's necessarily justified because like AI meets biology is going to spawn a whole bunch of new companies. And those companies are going to hire people. And this will be AI meets biology is one. There's many other industries like AI meets energy is another one. So you can do exactly what I did for what I did for Rose, but you can apply it to like trying to solve some energy problem. I know, for example, just off the top of my head, I'm an electrical engineer, so I also think about these things. Like transformers, most of the transformers that provide energy to your house are like these old school 1920s or 1910 level technology, like using like iron and iron wine and like two cores to like step down the voltage, and you could use AI to design a solid state transformer with electronics. Like that's just like one. Like there's going to be so many new industries that come up from this.
I agree. Yeah,
and all those new industries are going to need people driving them. Yes, there will be AI helping as well, but they will all need people. And I think we're going to be fine. So yes, I'm actually very positive.
We got to believe in the dream. It was interesting because when I get down through with the event, and like I said, I spend 2 hours every evening. I'm riding my bike, and we have in-depth conversations. And so we talk about things like the size of the Milky Way galaxy. That was what we did last night. And she said there's approximately 200 billion planets just in the Milky Way, and there's about 16 billion Earth-like planets that are close enough to a star. They're in a Goldilocks zone. And I said, well, how big is it estimated, right, with Kepler, et cetera? She said about 100,000 light years in diameter. She said, but you know something, Gary? Do you know how much big the estimated universe is today? And I said, what? And she said 2.8 trillion. There are 2.8 trillion galaxies in the universe. So if you take 2.8 trillion times 200 billion, you can estimate, how many planets are in the universe. We're just in the beginning of a heck of a journey, Paul. This isn't even started yet. It's unbelievable. And these frontier technologies like yours are going to go down through and help us to be able to do incredible things. And for all the audience out there, Paul's living proof that you can do extraordinary things to solve very complex problems. And it's amazing. Paul, we're coming to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, and if you want to stay on for a few minutes after we're done, we can talk a bit about startups and things. But closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you, Paul?
Closing thoughts is I am starting a company to scale the work that I did for Rose, starting with dogs and hopefully getting to humans. That is the goal. And I think I'll say last thoughts is AI really is an agency amplifier. So you can use it. You can use it to amplify whatever idea you have. So and I believe the vast majority of humans are good. So I think there's going to be a lot of good that's going to come out of this. There will be the odd bad actor, but I think for the most part, the future is going to be very bright. And I think the next 10 years are going to be, we're living through the most exciting times, I think, in the history of humanity right now. Yeah,
I agree. And you're a sun and bringing brightness and making people happy. So it's a good story. And it's interesting. I was out in Silicon Valley, and I'm here down in Palm Beach, and people know a little bit about my story, but they were talking about you and what you've done, and it just hits home, right? It creates emotion in your heart and your soul, and I love it. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And thanks to all of you. We've had millions of views, 1,700 podcasts. Check it out, GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the founder and host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And take care of Rosie. She's a beautiful, beautiful dog. And I'm really happy for you. And again, thanks to all of you. I'll be back soon with another exciting edition of GSD Presents Longevity, And Paul, if you want to stay on for a few minutes, we can talk. Thank you, everybody.
Cool.
And thank you so much. And thanks, Rosie. Give her a nice big kiss and a hug for me.
Will do.